Well, g'day Steve, thank you for coming down to,
Sure.
I won't take up too much of your time. I've just got a few questions to ask you about how communication plays a role in your field of work, which is
Construction.
construction. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how exactly does communication apply to your role in construction?
Well, I guess construction plays a big role, actually, in various ways. We have to communicate to our staff. We have to communicate to people actually out on site doing the work. We have to communicate to our clients. We have to communicate to government organisations. We have to communicate to our bosses who want to know what's going on. So I guess there's a lot of different ways we communicate.
Yeah. And would you say that when you talk to different levels, so say you're talking to your workers, and would that the range in which and the way you communicate to those people would change from the way you communicate to the people who say above you?
Yeah, it would. The people, the workers, I guess, would expect you to communicate with them a certain way. At not so much what you would call their level, but that they can understand. And a lot of that comes down to using plain English, not trying to get too contractual with what you're trying to tell them. You need to spell out exactly what they need to do and let them go off and do it. Whereas if I was talking to my bosses at a higher level in the organisation, I would speak to those people with probably more engineering or science behind it, or with more commercial acumen as part of that conversation.
Yeah. So you talk more a basic kind of or down to human kind of way to a worker, whereas when you're communicating to another boss or someone that you use more like scientific and engineering.
Yeah. I guess you talk to, and I guess over the years you pick up experience as to how to communicate with different people, and so you understand how you have to talk to your workers. You have to understand how you have to talk to your staff, who are pretty well, I consider them the same level as me, and I speak to them the way I'd expect them to speak to me. Yes, the bosses and the executives may expect something a little more maybe professional, you'd call it, but you know how to, you sort of understand how they want you to communicate with them. If we're communicating with, say, another contractor, then you would communicate on a contractual basis rather than, a sitting down talking over a table type conversation. You'd have quite a recorded conversation with the meeting minutes, a whole lot, so that everyone understands what everyone's been speaking about. If you are speaking to a client, then a lot of the clients don't understand the engineering and the science and stuff behind what we're doing, but they would expect to be spoken to on a professional basis, which is what you would do.
Yeah, and when you're working with clients and even other contractors from other firms, would you have any level of rapport building?
Yes. You always through all the levels throughout, say, a construction project, you always have levels of rapport building, particularly with the guys doing the work. I find that if you can build a rapport with the guys on the ground doing the work, you'll get a lot more out of them. They'll appreciate what you're saying to them. You do need to build a rapport with your staff, so there needs to be a level of respect both ways. So that's comes out of building a rapport with them. With the clients, you can build a rapport with them. It's good too. It doesn't always work, but because they're usually a step away. With other contractors, yes, you try to build a rapport with them to try and have them work closely with you without getting too contractual. And you certainly try to build a rapport with your executives so that they're comfortable with what you're telling them.
We've also been learning about this in our unit about non-verbal communication. So not just talking, but maybe body like posing. Do you ever use non-verbal? Is it as important in a construction?
Probably not so much. I think for a construction, if it's a construction project, you need to communicate clearly.
Yeah.
Part of the non-verbal communication process I find is being able to listen to what someone's telling you. So I guess over the years you learn how to listen to someone, and that's part of the communication process. If you listen to clearly what they're saying to you, then you can respond and communicate clearly with them. A lot of people don't know how to listen, and I would think that there is a very valuable non-verbal communication technique to learn over the years. But, doing the whole body language thing, sometimes it can work. I've used it in numerous projects where verbal communication might not, or it might need a bit of, let's say, embellishment, and someone needs to get the point across. And then you can bring in other non-verbal methods, whether you're knowingly doing that or it's just part of the communication process you're going through. Sometimes I have got quite angry with people on projects, and then you get a lot of non-verbal as well as verbal coming through. And a lot of the time it's to get a point across.
Yeah.
And I do it on purpose to get a point across.
Yeah.
So, non-verbal is not as important in construction, but we still do use it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I think that's about 5 minutes.
Okay.